Chose to look out for my independent project. Two is Tesla. A little bit of background about the company for anybody who's not already familiar, but I'm sure you are in recent years. This is going to go a little bit further back. In 2003, it was Tesla Motors was started by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, both of which were engineers who started the motor company and sparked interest from the now CEO Elon Musk, who gave a large investment in 2004 and later became CEO in 2008. Also in 2008, Tesla introduced their first lithium-ion powered car, the Roadster, which is built on a Lotus platform. Now when we look at Tesla's lineup, there's 4 different models, 2 of which that compete on the high-end performance side and 2 of which that are designed towards the economy side, with different models and variants of all of them. The Model S and X being that high-end one, and the Model 3 and Y being on the low-end one. And if you're seeing it spelt out sexy in the presentation below, that is because that CEO, Mr. Elon Musk, has a sense of humor. Now, in 2010, Tesla became a publicly traded company and has been rather interesting to watch ever since. You can refer to the reference page to figure out more about this. But even since 2017, when they took a $12 billion stock hit due to competitors in the market and concerns with the CEO, Tesla's been able to grow back to still be something that's very dominant and have very strong market share today. Other things about the company, as they've been introducing new car models and innovating in that space, they've also acquired SolarCity in 2016. This is important when we talk about how Tesla has expanded on a horizontal platform. They are also focusing on battery production and solar panels. We shift to 2018 and then to the present, and now everyone is rather familiar with Elon Musk due to his rather fiery Twitter account. And Tesla dominates them as a dominant market share in EVs, just falling below 70% after this year, 2022. So really something that's been fascinating to watch. But that brings us to present day. So a little bit about me. My major, I'm a marketing major and entrepreneurship minor at the University of Denver. A little bit of past other background about me. I've started multiple businesses of my own, everything from landscaping to clothing brands to biomaterial companies. Some of these companies I have retired, other ones I have sold, and others of which I am still working on today. I enjoy all of them, and I believe that these businesses, as well as my experience in Daniels, is what suits me to become an asset to Tesla. And in these experiences, I've had a lot of experience being a leader, a team member, a facilitator, a problem solver, and a student to the people around me, which I think is most important. And then we get into why Tesla. Simply, I'm a car freak, and to be honest, I don't like Tesla. I'm not a fan, and I think they need to do better, so I want to save them. To kind of go off the way I want to save them, the qualifications and ideal talent they're looking for when they're looking to hire onto their supply chain is 5 years experience managing a team of people. I don't quite have that, but I do have plenty of experience of years of managing teams of different workers that speak different languages from me, different engineers who speak languages that I simply don't understand about science and so forth. So I feel like there is definitely experience there. New York experience preferred. I'm from Connecticut. I've done work in New York and I've worked with New York people. So as an entry-level job, this might not be their highest requirement, but it's something I can definitely joke about going in. A BS in business is something that I definitely have, as well as evidence of exceptional experience. I think my experience stands out with being a business starter, but also not only that, but being a viable business starter. Able to work well under pressure. I enjoy pressure. I enjoy deadlines. This is the way I perform my best. But also being able to communicate those things with people and effectively show what I'm working on. To effectively show what I'm working on, requires to be organized. And in doing so, I can use my different Microsoft skills to show the metrics that we can use to measure efficiency, quality, safety, different performance outputs, and so forth that's required for the job. The recruiting process for Tesla is pretty simple. This is what I found online after doing a little bit of research, but it would start with a recruiter's phone screening. So it might be like a brief phone call after you've applied on LinkedIn, just to kind of see if they want to give you that online assessment. The online assessment's a way for them to find out more about you that kind of goes beyond your LinkedIn and really figure out if you're applicable compared to other applicants. And then hiring manager phone interview, that basically means that you're going to get on the phone with somebody, maybe via Zoom or just a phone call, and they're going to ask you some personal questions, in which case you should be ready to ask some questions back about the role and what you'll be doing. The on-site interview, that's a great spot to get to. If you're there, that's a great sign. That means they're interested in you and you can start giving a little bit of your demands. This is really important because that gets us to our last step of the application results, which is either you get the job or you don't. This is what you can expect with the recruiting process at Tesla. Going forward with recent hires, there are 3 DU alumni currently working on the supply chain side of Tesla, including Victor Louis. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but I don't want to be rude. But he's a Daniels alumni who is a global strategy manager at the company, which is something I'm particularly interested in, which gives me hope. Other supply chain managers, such as Taran Keshwani, who is a student at the University of Texas, Dallas, now has 9 years of experience at Tesla doing these type of roles. And Signa Pangwar is another great example of someone who has grown at Tesla, taking a similar path I'd like to take, working my way up on the company. She started as a supply chain programmer and worked up to a senior technical programmer manager with similar degrees that I have. So this is something that I'm definitely interested in with looking at 5 recent hires at Tesla. All right, conducting a pestle for Tesla. There are political factors are highly affected by other factors, but political factors definitely fall into the tax credits and breaks. Depending on the state that you live and depending on which political party might sway certain ways, there'll be more incentives on the legal side for these EV vehicles. But either way, these are political factors that favor Tesla. They do not hurt Tesla. The economical factors, basically Tesla has created high-end development with luxury and performance, which has caused a change in the EV market and a shift in the awareness of people, which we'll get to the social cultural. But the going after the high-end market and kind of doing that first has created a sense of status and has also created a really viable business, which is important because EVs boost the global economy with the amount of job creations. As I mentioned, Tesla is trying to animate as much as possible, but they still have over 50,000 employees. And then also on the economies of scale, we look at the high end versus low end of vehicles. This is where the strategy of Tesla is going to have to differentiate a little bit. The high end vehicles will have to focus more on differentiation from other competitors in the market. In this sense, a high-end vehicle would have to have that top speed variable or maybe faster to 60. Whereas a low-end vehicle, they really got to bring down the prices and they got to find a way to be able to compete with GM and VW Group who are entering the market right now with those, and even Hyundai with those affordable EVs. The social cultural shift as a shift in the understanding of people's behaviors towards EVs. We've seen that total shift as people's understanding of EV is now Tesla and no longer Prius. And we've also seen this connected to the environmental factors. So Tesla's a green company, and this helps with those social factors and people being green. They're leading innovation when it comes to technology. Their technology is always changing. Tesla is a technology company at the end of the day, so this has been very fun. They've also been very public with their technology from the very beginning with the design of their electric motors and the design of their battery plants and how they deliver that power so other competitors can begin to enter the market and they can grow the EV space. Environmental factors are very huge, especially as people begin to focus on climate change. This climate change and these concerns lead people to wanting to buy these EVs, and whether it's for that performance, for the status quo, or really because they are concerned about the environment, that's important. And also it's working with clean energy. So all in all, Tesla's on the right side of the environmental factors. And lastly, legal. This is something that we kind of mentioned briefly at the beginning with political, but there's a lot of legal factors, especially on the state and federal level. When you talk about credits and breaks in the taxes, with incentives towards people buying EVs versus internal combustion engines. This is great for Tesla, but also on the legal side is global policy and regulation. This is something Tesla has been having to face and shift since we are simply ahead of certain countries when it comes to this type of technology and their regulations. Going on to the 5 forces plus the 6, new threats for entering the market. I think this is high. You can go to our reference for this more, but we see competitors such as Rivian and Lucid entering, as well as Tesla. Bargaining power of the supplier, I would say that that's rather low when it comes to getting in there supplies and everything. They do not have much power and say. Rivalry amongst competitors, this is very high. As I mentioned, there's a lot of major groups like VW, Mercedes-Benz, and Hyundai and others who are beginning to compete, which means that rivalry amongst existing competitions is definitely there. And the threat of substitution is much higher, as there are people who are competing in that high-end luxury performance space, as well as on the low-end, more economies of scale space. The bargaining powers of the buyers, I would say that's about medium. It used to be that it'd be rather low and that Tesla had a lot more of the power. But all in all, the power of the buyers, I would say, is about medium now, considering that they have so many options and so forth. And when it comes to complementers, Tesla is really going about this in an independent way. So with that said, there's not many complementers to Tesla, and they've had to go about it kind of on their own. We see this with their supply chain as well as their charging and battery packs and so forth. And when we get to the personal resources and capabilities, we're going to use a VRIO to break this down. My personal value that I think I bring is due to my unique hands-on experience that I've had, as well as a bachelor's degree in business. The rarity being my ability to use disabilities as an advantage, looking at things in a different way due to dyslexia, ADHD, or however I might need to go about it, has given me a creative way to analyze these types of supply chain problems, and other skills such as leadership and emotional intelligence that simply can't be taught are packaged together, and I think that's pretty rare, which makes, I think, me unique. Immutability, you might find people who can apply these things and do these things as well, but nobody is going to outwork me, so therefore I am never a temporary competitive advantage for any company. And when it comes to the organization, for myself, it will if you're not organized, it will all fall down, and this is something that I've had to work hard on. And when it comes to supply chain managing, something that you'll definitely have to bring of a value to the companies. What's most important is that when it all goes up in smoke, I'm able to get everything done that needs to get done, and that's what matters most. And finally, look at the personal resources and we use a 5-force analysis. As me, there are other threats to people taking the roles that I'm trying to take, so that is high. The bargaining power of the supplier is also high. Since I am asking them for the job and they have so many applicants and options. Rivalry amongst existing competitors, I'd say, is medium, since I really don't know if there's that many job chasing, and also Tesla offers so many different positions that I don't think competition is very high within the company. Threats of substitutes, I would say, is high. As I mentioned, there's a lot of different people who are able to do what I think I am do, but just maybe not as well. And the bargaining power of the buyers, aka me, is rather low when going for these positions. Lastly, the career objectives and the timeline. In 1 year, I'd like to be associate manager, manufacturing operations. That's the entry-level job, and that can gain the experience in a few years to move to a global manager in the supply chain, for example, in the battery cell, or maybe in headlights, or maybe in steering wheels, whatever it might be. By the 10-year point, really focusing on the analysis side and really becoming more of a consultant for the company in different supply chains throughout Tesla, and then in 20 years' time, being an independent consultant. That is my project 2. Thank you for listening. Bye.